Who would have thought that healing shame, becoming vulnerable, could be the very key to leaving behind physical pain? Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Amari Love, and I'm a writer and a coach, and I help people heal from chronic anxiety, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, and a number of other conditions through the mind-body connection. Today, I want to talk to you about the research on vulnerability, loneliness, and connection that has come about from the work of Brené Brown. There are a lot of studies out at the moment and people talking about loneliness. And people are saying, and I agree with this, I'd love to know what you think, that we are living in a loneliness epidemic. A lot of people rush to action instead of first slowing down and looking at how is this happening? What is happening to us? Personally, I would have to say loneliness was at the heart of my own chronic illness. I would say it got so bad that I could no longer function. And even though I had a lot of pain and symptoms, the isolation, the disconnection were possibly worse. When we feel lonely, we all, or I certainly, have a tendency to want to fix that problem. And I want to hurry to avoid the discomfort and the pain of what I'm feeling. So many of us, what we do is we try to get away from our loneliness. We rush to social activities or to be with other people. Or some of us, if we don't have that possibility, we turn to work. These are called coping mechanisms. And what it does is it diverts our attention from the problem. We think we're trying to fix the problem. And it makes sense, doesn't it? If we think, I feel lonely, I want to go and be with people, then I won't feel lonely. We think that's going to be the fix, but actually you may be finding that this isn't true. Many people report that they can be with friends and feel completely lonely, feel completely misunderstood or isolated. In fact, it can be more intense when you're with other people if you don't feel a sense of connection. Let me read to you what Brené Brown said that I thought was incredibly powerful. She's talking about her first big research project after she'd been a social worker for 10 years and she was doing her PhD and she was starting to get into the data. So where I started was with connection, because by the time you're a social worker for 10 years, what you realize is that connection is why we're here. So very quickly, about 6 weeks into the research, I ran into this unnamed thing that absolutely unraveled connection in a way that I didn't understand. And it turned out to be shame. And shame is really easily understood as the fear of disconnection. Is there something about me that if other people know it or see it, that then I won't be worthy of connection? So when she was researching connection, she actually went on a quest with her data to try to discover, in a way, how to be happy, how people really connect, what a wholehearted life looks like. And like she said, 6 weeks into the research, she came straight up against this thing that kind of was having such a big effect on her numbers and her evidence that she had to stop all the research and reorganize her system of investigating, her system of research. She discovered that one of the key things to take into account in all of her ongoing research from that point on was what was happening with shame. And I think that it's a very helpful definition. That's why I wanted to share that quote. There's a lot of research out now, which is wonderful, talking about how shame and toxic shame is driving physical pain and symptoms in people. And shame is just a very uncomfortable and unpleasant feeling. So it's interesting to know that it's universal. Everybody has it. And many of us are not aware that we feel shame. We're not aware how much it's making us make decisions. And we're also not aware of where it came from, how we became someone with shame, how we can release it, heal from it, and then actually gain more connection in our lives. The cure for loneliness, according to, I'm summarizing Brené Brown's work, to put it into kind of a little nutshell, we could say, if I work with healing my shame, I will feel less lonely and less isolated and ready to connect to others. I will feel connected to myself and able better to connect to others. And I know this from personal experience. I have been working on healing myself from these underlying negative emotions for a couple of years now. I recovered from chronic illness. I had 3 decades of back pain, gut issues, sleep problems. And then it was a huge surprise to find that all these physical symptoms and pain were going to be healed through deep hidden stressors and deep buried emotions from the past being released through the mind and body, through the mind-body connection. And I really want to help you today with understanding more deeply how to heal shame, how to create connection with yourself that automatically leads to connection with others and more love in your life. I also enjoy the irony of her being such a control freak who wanted to work with data, and she'd gone into social work to help people and she wanted to fix the problem. And I really relate to that. I feel like for so much of my life, I was trying to move around and see what can I fix? How my film's going to change the world? How am I going to get the information and knowledge together so that I can work out how we're going to fix everything? That desire for control, that desire to tidy things up and get things organized, to be a bit of a control freak myself, just like she's kind of pointing out about herself. That's coming from fear. That's coming from a fear of being one's authentic self. So as we step into vulnerability, as we step more and more into our own authenticity, we're stepping towards joy. We're stepping out of pain. We're stepping into connection. I relate to her a lot, and I wonder if you do too. Do you feel that you have maybe a similar personality type to her? Would you rather have control than be vulnerable and unsure? Would you rather avoid messy? Or would you say you're a very different type of person? Would you say you have a good hold on vulnerability? Would you say you are very open and vulnerable and you are very engaging and connected to others? Let me know any comments and thoughts that you have. So one way to immediately get a sense of connection and to begin to heal toxic shame is to work with our hands. I'm going to use an exercise that is from somatic healing. This can produce tears. It can produce emotions suddenly start to come up for you, but it can also produce a really strong feeling of reassurance and warmth and soothing. A lot of people find this very grounding and soothing, and it creates safety for the nervous system. So the first thing to do is sit comfortably or lie down comfortably. So we're going to place one hand on the heart, and it goes under the armpit, and the other hand goes on the upper arm. Now it can be the shoulder, the upper arm, the lower arm, around the elbow. The idea is you find a place that feels comfortable for you. So you choose, try different areas and see where feels comfortable. Take one breath. What I want you to do next is I want you to experiment with how hard you hold with this hand. Also with this hand, you could hold yourself really tight and hard like this. So you're kind of shrinking yourself. Or you might like a very soft touch, almost not touching. And that might be, if you have any pain or symptoms in your arms or your skin. So choose a hold that feels the most comfortable to you. And we're just going to give it a couple of minutes to see if the nervous system wants to settle. Notice your breathing. Now you could do one slightly deeper breath where you make a sound on the exhale. Good. A couple of moments longer. Okay, my ears are popping now. That's a real sign of nervous system release. You may get body temperature changes, you may get tingles, you may get yawning, you suddenly might feel hot. These are all releases. You may feel quite a strong sense of grounding through doing this. It's really connecting us to ourselves and to the earth. Some people will have tears. That also is a release, but you may find emotions are bubbling up, pain that has been stored in your system that wants to be let go. So there may be some crying. If that happens, I would recommend having a soothing warm drink after doing this. If you get other emotions, like you experience the feeling of shame while doing this, see if you can just allow it to be there, if you can notice it. It's very natural. There's a lot of judgment in ourselves towards us, especially if we're suffering any kind of health condition. We're then unable to be productive, so it brings up a lot of our old patterns and it forces us to learn how to heal the past. Okay. Notice, I'm getting a really sore throat as well, by the way. So I very often get emotions coming in the throat. I get experiences of grief that come up to be released. And it expresses as a sore throat or a lump in my throat on its way out to be released. So there's no problem if you're starting to feel sensations like this. It doesn't mean you're coming down with something. It means emotions wish to be released. Okay. Very gently, when you're ready, you take your hands off and then just very gently put them in your lap. Well done. I'd like to invite you also just to place a hand on your heart, right in the middle of your chest. Checking, am I covering the mic? A hand on your heart. Can you say this with me? It's okay to feel what I'm feeling right now. It's okay to feel what I'm feeling right now. So what you're doing when you say that is you're sending a message of self-love and acceptance right into your system. It's okay to feel what I feel right now. Good job. Thank you for doing this with me today. It means a lot. If this grounding exercise helped shift your pain and symptoms today, watch my healing playlist to learn how to maintain this state of safety. Take good care of yourself now.